Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the F1 Agenda podcast. Although today we're not actually going to be talking about F1, so a bit of a twist today. We'll actually be talking about the 24 Hours of Le Mans for 2018. And joining me today, your host Dan, is Simon
Hey.
and Jeebus.
Hello.
So finally, Toyota have won it.
It took them.
It took them 20 years.
It took them a few years, including two times losing it when they really shouldn't have.
Yes.
After two,
One time losing it with a lap to go.
with quite literally 5 laps to go, the car just decided to say nope.
Yes.
Then they had that disastrous night last year, where everything just kind of went to shit.
Yeah.
Back when there was competition.
But before we get into the review, there was some news before we got round to the actual race about the new 2020-2021 regs for WEC with a new hypercar design.
Yeah.
I believe the quote is, it creates freedom of design based on a hypercar concept.
Yeah, it's basically LMP1 has gotten is both A, very expensive, and B, it's been slowly dying really.
Yes.
It's only really the recent flurry of privateers that kept it somewhat alive. After rules for this year was set after Porsche decided to leaving Toyota as the only original equipment manufacturer, like the only factory team. And basically this is trying to get back things, companies like Ferrari, Audi, get them back, Porsche, get them back in the top 5 and try and get them to be with there for the win again. Try to have a competitive top.
Basically, these new regulations have a lower level of hybrid technology and also a strict limitations on aerodynamic development, just to help with cost cutting.
Yeah, I believe the target is to try and get the budgets, the actual team budget down to a quarter of what it is now.
Which is a lot to cut.
That's quite a lot. Yeah.
If you imagine how much teams like Toyota are spending, you want to take that, like a quarter of that.
Yeah.
It's like what F1 are trying to do with the 2020 regs.
Yeah.
Indeed.
21 regs. Because they're trying to cut the cost to like a quarter of what it is, and you've got people like Toto Wolff who are saying that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But also in the news, they've also got a plan to encourage the participation of more female drivers.
Yeah, there's only for this year there were one single female driver this year. That was Christina Nilsson in the number 80 E by Motors GTE-Am car. Who by the way finished 5th. But yeah, she was the only female driver out there this year, and she has been for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
But at least she's basically become a main stable of at least the Le Mans grid. Believe she was a Ferrari driver last year, but she has become a Porsche driver this year. So
It'd be nice to see some more female drivers on the grid.
yeah. Hey,
There are a few others. If other people do follow, like IMSA Endurance, there's also Catherine Legg is also out there. She's also pretty good.
well, Gavin Leg is definitely not bad.
Yeah, she's fighting for the title in IMSA,
But I
I
think
believe.
at least Nelson's link with Porsche means she probably can get some high opportunities as well. Maybe even bring into GTE-Pro at some point if she's lucky.
Indeed. But also in the news, the Sebring WEC, which is normally the race that comes around Le Mans. I think it's just after Le Mans normally.
It's actually in February.
Oh yeah, just before Le Mans. Apologies. Is now 1,000 miles and not 1,500 miles.
Well, it's kind of a split event because it's either distance. Either you go to the complete distance, which is now 1,000 miles, or it's 8 hours, one of the two, depending which one is reached first. But it's basically just means that I guess that's because of IMSA really. Another time like get the track ready for IMSA the next day. Who races the day after the WC.
Yeah, they obviously don't end up having no time to prepare for the inter race.
Yeah.
But there's also last two bits of news. There's now a Le Mans esports series has been apparently announced.
Yeah.
Esports is taking over the world now.
I believe what they, at least what they're stating is that it's going to be in Forza Motorsport 7.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
seem to
we
be
see.
following F1 down the esports route.
Also, like it's just hip not to do that when you have anything with sports. Having esports
Yeah,
series as well, like it gets people into your sport in a different way.
Well,
yeah,
Formula E really started it, didn't they? Because they've been doing it
yeah, they did. Yeah,
from the
Yeah.
beginning of the series, I think.
Oh, they
Hmm.
had they had the Vegas e-race,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which let's be honest, it wasn't the best thing, but it was a start or something.
I mean, it used an unreliable
Yeah,
and not
it
reliable
used it was a mod they used. I believe since then they have gotten official content, which is a lot better.
Yeah.
hmm.
Um, so we'll see how that goes for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
probably another
using
good way to get like the younger fans in.
yeah, it's using Forza, which isn't it's not a sim. It's not a
I
sim, is
think
it?
like F1 has their own platform has their own game to use it on, which is what they're
Yeah.
using, of course. I feel like if the WC wants to take the esports thing a bit more seriously, they'll probably go for something like R Factor or hell even iRacing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, iRacing only has does it even have an LMP1?
Yeah, they have two of the ones, the Porsche 919 and the Audi R18.
Well, neither of them are in it anymore. So I think for
Yeah.
just for like licensing issues.
Well, the thing is, I think the only game so far which is on multiple platforms is Project Cars 2 that has all the all the 2016 ones. I believe that's the newest version in any game. That's the 2016 ones. Don't
Yeah,
believe any 2017 ones are in any games.
and Project Cars isn't particularly.
Although let's put it like this, the hybrid is far from realistic.
Yeah,
Yeah. I guess they'll probably see how it goes on the first year and go off how it goes
Yeah,
to see whether they should stay on Forza or move to another platform.
yeah.
when you saw the amount of Forza advertisement on the track.
I
Yeah.
believe the first chicane is actually even it's called the Forza Motorsport chicane. That thing has changed names a lot, but I believe currently it's called the Forza Motorsport chicane.
They call it like the pit crew, the Forza Motorsport pit crew,
Yeah, I noticed that.
which is very American.
True. But the last bit of news that came before the race was they were for 2024, so we're looking quite a long way into the distance here. There will be hydrogen racing at Le Mans.
Well, not guaranteed, but at least what they said they're aiming to do. I think it will very much depend on the technology available in 2024. But it is the aim that they want to try and at least have a hydrogen class in at Le Mans for that year. It may only be basically the Garage 56 project or something like that. So far,
Yeah.
I think there will definitely be one or two of that in order to really get that thing going.
But it should be an interesting thing. We've seen a lot of different, let's say, methods of trying to do this race over the last couple of years. Diesel, hybrid.
Well, the hybrid is basically I would say I know this is a bit contrary, but I think if the whole diesel gate with Volkswagen didn't happen, I think we still will have both Audi. At least Audi will still be here. It was really the whole diesel thing that cost Audi because then Audi has been running diesel since forever in Le Mans. Like I believe they run diesel the entire time they've been running.
Yeah.
So the fact that so when the whole diesel thing with Volkswagen, because Audi's owned by Volkswagen, it was natural to sacrifice them, which I found sad.
Yeah. It was a shame to lose Audi, of course.
People don't know, but I'm a massive Audi fan in terms of Le Mans. It did help that they basically created Denmark's most famous racing driver, Christensen. Made him what he is.
Yeah. The legend of Le Mans himself.
Mr. Le Mans.
Indeed, indeed. But I think that rounds out all the news, so we'll move over to the qualifying. Not too much happened in the qualifying session.
Well, that depends. The two night qualifying 1 and qualifying 3 was somewhat quiet. Not really much happening. Most fast times was actually set in the first qualifying session, except for I believe LMP1 and LMP. No, I believe only LMP1 actually had a fast time set in Q3 than in Q1. Q2 was an absolute mess because I think there was only like 20 minutes of actual green flag running, which wasn't enough to set a clean time.
Yeah.
Then because people was pushing so hard, they ran off. It all really started with one of the Ford going off at Tete Rouge and knocking his rear wing off, which meant there was a slow zone for like 15 minutes trying to get that cleared.
Yeah.
Then there were massive. Then the 93 car, I believe it was, crashed at Indianapolis, which meant there had to be a tire repair, a barrier repair, and which meant out a red flag for like half an hour. And then there were multiple accidents which caused slow zones and yellow flags. And then the thing to basically end it all off was the Zettler Velope, number 40, one of the number 2 cars, had a heavy crash at the first chicane of the Mulsanne Straight, and basically there were massive debris all over the place. And that thing simply took too long, so they decided to cut the session short, and that took the Q3 one.
Yeah. But just to round out, just basically the people who are on pole in each of their respective groups. The 8 Toyota took pole in LMP1, 2 seconds quicker than its actual sister car, which was an impressive lap from Nakajima, who did qualify that car.
Well,
whatever Autosport want to say.
Just
get onto that in a second.
just to say that the only reason why the Toyota in a way was so much faster was because it actually managed to get a very, very clean lap in. No traffic, perfect conditions really for a good lap.
Funny enough, it's a statistic that Fernando Alonso's first back-to-back pole since Silverstone Hockenheim 2012.
That's kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 6 years.
Yeah, and the first time it happens is in another series.
Exactly. In basically the dominant car.
Yeah.
And he didn't even set the pole time for it.
He didn't even.
Nope.
No, he didn't even. That was.
Wasn't his fastest time like 3 seconds slower than Nakajima's?
I think it was Buemi who did it in Spa.
Yeah, it was Buemi. No, it was the Spa one was a split one. That was because of the average rule. Those years.
Oh yeah, they work out the average.
But that was Nakajima and Buemi that drove that, and it was Nakajima that set the fastest time. This week for the Le Mans as well.
But moving down to LMP2, it was the number 48 IDEC Sport Racing Orica that took pole.
Remember correctly, actually the TDS 29 car actually had pole, but because of track limits, I would say, track limits or energy usage, they which exceeded, they had that time deleted.
Oh yeah.
So went back to EDEC.
In GTE-Pro, it was the 91 Porsche, which was known as the was the Rothmans car. Two of the special liveries Porsche running this week.
Yeah, for their 70th anniversary.
The 92 is running the pink pig livery.
Yeah, that car will get into a bit more for the race. I
believe Porsche even said themselves Bruni's lap was very lucky to get pole.
Oh yeah,
just need to hook it up.
It's basically like if you want to get pole at Le Mans, you have to get the perfect conditions for it, which means no traffic and just everything set up correctly.
Which is exactly what Bruni got, because he absolutely smashed the field to get pole.
He never that car never ran that session again, and in no time could get close to it.
Yeah. And finally, in GTE-Am, it was another Porsche on pole, the 88 Dempsey Proton Racing car.
Yeah, The Dempsey Proton was just too quick in qualifying. The 77 qualified third, I think.
Yes.
And Jaren just Dempsey Proton just was so quick this entire weekend, this entire week. So they were just better than everyone else.
Yeah. They just seem to be able to hook it up.
Yeah.
But that kind of rounds out all the action from qualifying. Before we get into the race, we have a little rant for you. Now,
I got majorly annoyed at Autosport.
We mentioned this a little bit for our French preview. We kind of said a little bit about it, but we weren't going to talk about it properly.
It should be on the screen now because Autosport ran with an incredibly bad title.
Yes.
And
apparently, Nakajima qualifying Alonso's car on pole.
They have since changed it, I believe, twice. They changed the headline.
Yes.
It's just, and the fact that they changed it, actually then the on-site article, that little brick you can see on your screen is still there with that title. And that's why I going on to dailysportscar.com, which is all. If you want to get the WC news and just general good racing news, go there. You can see that title, that headline, Toyota on professional pole as record tumble in LMP2 and GT. It's just, it's better, much better.
It's accurate and not biased.
It was such a shitty move by Autosport to try and gain clicks on this.
Yeah, literally just like a massive bit of clickbait.
Can just say, I know this whole Alonso mania that's been this entire week. Just F off with it. This race is not just about Alonso. There are 179 other drivers racing this race. Who also
it's not just Le Mans. Like, they did it at Spa as well.
As well, yeah.
It's like ever since Alonso's joined, it's like, let's just make it all about Alonso. Just like there's so many other drivers who do their career for this.
Well, it was the same
forgotten.
It was the same at Indy 500 last year, though.
Yeah.
Well, let's just not forget Fuji was moved because of Alonso.
Oh yeah, no, that was because it's clash.
Which has also gone and screwed over quite a lot of other drivers because they now can't. They now have to choose a race to go into.
Well, the thing is, the virtual race got changed twice. The first one was a clash with the Petit Le Mans over in the US. Then it got moved a week ahead to clash with the US GP. That was no problem then. However, then Alonso joined, and then because the problem with this is that Fuji is owned by Toyota, which is why they race on it. And Toyota, basically Toyota through Fuji's asked about getting the date changed back to the original date, the one clashing with Petit Le Mans, to try and compensate for Alonso. Just so we clear, this is not Alonso's fault at all. He didn't make.
No, he didn't ask for the race to be moved.
No.
And in fact, Alonso's like tried to make it crystal clear that it's not all about him.
No.
Yeah.
I
fully after qualifying when Nakajima took the pole in the car. They all tried to talk to him about the lap. They were just saying it was him who did the lap. Talk to him about it.
I have huge respect for Alonso for doing that. That whole versus what every other media has done. He's just, this shit is not about me. This is about the team.
It's a team game.
Me. Like there are three drivers in their crew. No one is superior or more important than the other.
You base it on experience, but when Nakajima would outclass Alonso, strictly speaking, in the mine anyway.
Yeah, no, basically through all light session, in the daylight sessions and such, based in the week, Alonso was the slowest of the three. Although I will admit it to Alonso, he did really come alive during the night.
He did, yeah.
That was his night running was amazing. But I think we'll get into that in.
Yeah, we don't want to jump ahead too far. We haven't even got to the start of the race yet. But it's just this thing with Autosport just continues this thing these. I don't want to say fake fans. For WE, I think the bandwagoners who have just jumped on the Alonso train.
Yeah, it's we discussed this in section and some relays, and I got physically annoyed with multiple people making this a joke about Alonso. Like it got annoying in the end because Alonso. Yeah, what about Buemi and Nakajima,
Yeah.
who did just as much racing as Alonso?
I think I'm not as annoyed as Simon about this whole thing with Motorsport because I can, from their point of view, they're just trying to get more people in, like, to click on the article, which is, and it's not clickbait in the sense that WTF1 do it, because WTF1's like content is awful, and I don't agree with what Autosport did in their article, but they're always going to put Alonso in the title because it's like you're going to get F1 fans who are going to see it and they're going to think, oh, where's Alonso?
I think
Yeah, I'm not against putting Alonso in the title, put him in, but at least credit the other drivers for actually getting the.
There's
that the whole wording of that on the first title of it was just bad. I think what really was the catalyst for me to hating that article was the one of the editor, one of the editors responsible for Autosport, went down and called everyone who actually criticized that article for moronic. That was really what fueled the fire for me, at least, because he basically called many of the readers and therefore also customers moronic.
Yeah.
On Twitter. It's like,
I mean,
this may not how I want to go into that. Maybe I was like, maybe admit, okay, this was not how the title was supposed to be, but instead he goes out and basically just criticizes and insult all the customers.
yeah, you can't do that.
That's just no.
Yeah. I think that ends up our little rant about Autosport and the Alonso bandwagoning. But
I mean, the whole like Alonso hype has gotten boring. I think we'll all admit that because it's all just Alonso.
yeah.
And it's more because he keeps on pointing out, like at Canada, I think it was Luke Smith or Will Buxton kept on like saying that Alonso was like kept on saying that he was the leader of the WEC Championship.
Yeah.
Which is a bit sad considering that, you know, Brendan Hartley's the reigning WEC champion.
Oh yeah, like the fact that how Alonso isn't even the first current F1 driver to actually won Le Mans. Like
yeah, when Hulkenberg won it in 2015, like no one even
no one remembers that right now. Like no one gives a toss about that.
You've got to think that from like, if you're a sponsor of Alonso, you are loving this.
Oh yeah, no, they are.
Oh, yeah.
They are having a wonderful time.
Like Camaro are absolutely like loving themselves.
Well, Kim O is also his own company, so.
Yeah.
But you know, like any sponsor that isn't his own is just looking at this. Please more, give us more.
I know he's probably going to IndyCar in 2019.
Yeah.
Well, most likely because.
Well, now he does have 2 of the 3 parts of the Triple Crown that he's been after. So.
Well, he's most likely going to get the WEC title as well. Then he'll go into IndyCar and probably win that title. Although I'm not so sure about that, but that's another debate for another day. Yeah, it's all Alonso vision.
Yeah, I just hope that IndyCar can be truthful. Like this thing went completely unnoticed basically, but after Jimmy Sinclair got bombed for the Indy 500, and 3-time Le Mans winning engineer Lee Nagata was actually fired from it, who was his race mechanic, believe, or head engineer for Sinclair, after 5 races.
It's a ruthless business.
It really
is. Motorsport's a harsh world.
Yeah.
Which I think gets us on to we can nicely slide on to the start of the actual race.
It was a harsh start for Andre Lotto.
Indeed, it was.
Yeah, but just a bit too aggressive trying to get up inside one of the Toyotas and hit him, which then caused misery for the 10th Dragon Speed, which then spun. It was a little bit chaos into that first corner.
The first few laps were mad.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, that was kind of expected, really.
Yeah, I mean the Toyotas just kind of bolted off because
Oh yeah, well, what do you expect? It's Toyotas. There were multiple seconds. Like that was one of the few reasons why I don't rate this race that high. Toyota had a way too easy race for them. Like
you can't,
after
you can,
after
I,
two
I
after two was about a lap or two ahead already, which when they could just turn on the engine a bit and chill it through the night and chill through the race. I mean, they didn't have to sacrifice anything. They didn't have to risk anything to actually get the victory. And
I do.
therefore,
Toyota's race is basically just slipstreaming each other and letting each other go through at some points just to get as
Well,
far ahead as possible.
I do agree with that. And maybe it's because this is like the first Le Mans I've actually cared about. I like flicked on like the last two, and I didn't really like know a lot about it. But you've got to commend like the number 8 Toyota especially because they had like no reliability issues whatsoever.
like I think it's one of the I think 3 or 4 times that the Toyota actually has gone through the entirety of Le Mans without any issue at all. I believe the 7 in for something like for a few minutes. I believe. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Is this the first time Toyota have had all their cars finish the race?
No, I believe they did so in 2015 as well.
Oh, okay. Because it's obviously not very often with their reliability record.
Although that's kind of that always has been Toyota's major problem is the fact that their reliability has been not the best.
And
Yeah,
the only
Last year,
issue
2016.
the only issue earlier that number 7 had was that they forgot to fuel it.
Yeah, that was apparently the thing that happened was that Kobayashi actually missed the didn't go in on the lap he was supposed to, and therefore as soon as he came onto the start finish pit straight, he had to go into slow zone mode and basically go down to 80 kilometers to try and save fuel going around. So when we thought it was probably just him trying to limp back to the garage, and when he started going high speed again, that was the point. At least it was explained in TV. That was the point where it was safe for the 7 car to give it full throttle and get back into the pits without running out of fuel.
And then he later got a penalty for it.
That was
There were a few penalties in the quite a lot near the end of the race seemed to be coming around.
most of them was because too much fuel was
Yeah,
they were being refueled too
exceeding
much.
their lap limit or something for stints.
A few times when every single class has a stint limit, like an X amount of laps they're allowed to do per stint. And a few times some of the LMP1s and LMP2s went a lap too far in that one.
It's a pretty. I don't know how I feel about that rule. It's a bit silly.
Yeah.
Because what, did they get like a 10-second stop go?
Yeah, 10-second stop go for it.
So that's like 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Just for, missing the pit entry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Saturday afternoon was mostly just filled with a few offs here and there, like a few spins and such. But the first big retirement came, I'll say about 8 local time, I think, something like that. When the Bicolis car had contact with one of the with a Porsche and spun into the barrier, wrecking that car, totaling it.
There was like nothing left of it.
No.
Yeah, that car was ruined.
Yeah, I believe that was brought out I believe that brought out a safety car, I believe, for it because of the amount of things that were on the road and such.
It was good to see the driver get out and he was fine.
Yeah. Dominic Kryhammer went out fine. Then I don't know actually. I don't still know what happened, but then the GTE-Am as the Martin racing car just went straight on at the Porsche curves. Like just didn't stop at all. Seemed like.
Was it like? I think there was like when it happened, it was like suspected brake failure or something, or like the throttles sticking or something. Because the way it went, because you could see the lines like through the gravel, like it literally had just gone straight.
Yeah.
which kind of shows it was either like a brake failure or just the throttle was just stuck on.
Yeah, how even brake failure, like the speed isn't that low going to the Porsche curve, so it couldn't really. It will have to be a stock throttle, really.
Yeah.
There was a funny incident. I think it was the SMP, where basically.
Oh yeah, Isakane, like during the early night and such. Basically he had a he had a spin into the Porsche curves, and then while he spun, and then smashed the rear. Then he had problems getting it going. So the car got pulled back behind the barrier. The thing is, basically all the cars have a few tools and such for the drivers to use to get back onto to either get the car going or get some help. So what happened was that Ishkine went behind the wall and tried to get his car going again. And he got it going again for a little bit, but however it was a very stripped BR1 car.
It wasn't like the bodywork like dragging on the wheels, so he couldn't actually move it.
Yeah,
which is why they was trying to take the bodywork off the back.
I think there was a little funny episode why he had to text his garage because they had he got a little brick phone. They usually have like phone to use.
You see that every day, just like.
So he decided. So he had
garage like, how do I sort this out, lads?
Yeah, so he had to text. I believe he then got it going, but then ended up over the other side of the track. Why then tried to get it going again.
Without a rear.
Yeah, basically what the rear
just shedding parts.
And the problem was that both rear wheels were.
I think all tires were punctured.
Yeah, like there's basically no tire left at all.
There was like nothing like protecting the engine. There were all 4 tires completely like punctured.
Yeah.
That car was basically just like, yeah, mate, I'm not going back.
There was a funny replay of the mechanics and the engine who, like, their reaction to when he was trying to get it going. They were just all screaming at the telly, just going, no, don't do it.
Stop it.
Not gonna work.
Yeah, like the scenes with that, with the engine when that he tried to get it going again was a spectacle and like that. You could see how it was all sparking and trying to get going, and it just couldn't. That engine was done for.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the only SMP to retire with an engine failure of some sort.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the very troubled race for the 11 SMP.
With just how many? Well, I believe it wasn't even that long before actually. It was only like with 45 minutes to check and flight that Button had to report over the radio that the engine was gone.
Yeah.
I
think they spent most of the start of the race having electrical issues, I want to say. Because I think they ended up having like nearly 2 hours in the pits in the early stage, and they were like, got back out and they were like 45 laps down.
They lost almost 3 hours in the pits in the start and was nowhere for like the entire race. So
yeah, the race was basically killed before it even got started.
Yeah.
It was not a good Le Mans debut for Jenson Button.
Not that either. Although he did do some really good driving once the car got going again.
Yeah.
It just sad it had to end that way.
It's just a shame because the SMP looked like a good pace.
Yeah, no, the SMP.
17 was running third for a good bit of the race.
I'll say if they got the reliability sort, I think SMP could be out there challenging at least Rebellion for the podium.
Yeah.
But then between the SMP and the Aston Martin, one of the Porsches had to go into the pits and shut down. And then the biggest disappointment of this entire race, Manor and the Ginetta.
Oh dear.
That Ginetta.
Of course, they had. Did they not do Spa WEC because they couldn't afford to
it's because
pay Ginetta or something?
The thing, the payments were not made for Spa, which meant they couldn't race. And this entire week they barely had any running. The car was extremely unreliable. Like with this point that if you take the 2015 Manor and take the 2015 McLaren Honda reliability and put them in one car, You just about have to man an LMP1 car. It was unreliable as hell.
And add 2015 Lotus financial
Yeah,
stuff.
and it was slow as hell. It was unreliable as hell. It's just what has happened.
Mm.
That LMP1 car is just nothing really. It's nowhere.
I believe the other Gillette had issues at the end of the race, didn't it?
Oh yeah,
It
no,
had to be retired at the end, I believe.
actually, the first one just got retired, and the other one just went in and out, in and out, in and out of the pits.
Yeah.
It ended up
It was
100.
a very troubled race for the Ginettes. But, at least they actually got some decent running in on that Spa.
And in
No,
the
no,
end,
it's some kind of positive they can take out of the weekend.
it actually ended 100 laps down on the winning Toyota.
Wow. That says a lot. The race kind of there was a few other players. I think Montoya also had an incident somewhere during the race.
Yeah. It was funny after what he said about after he just said he'd run out of talent.
Yeah, I think it was what part was it at? Was it Indianapolis, I think? Where he
Yeah.
just seemed to lose the car and just put it in the wall.
Yeah. Apparently he just locked up and just crashed into the wall.
Yeah.
So just a simple lockup that lost them like quite a bit of time.
Mm.
'Cause it
Quite a
was
mixed.
just-
It's
yeah.
quite a mixed race for United Autosport. They seem to have good pace every now and again.
Yeah, but then they didn't. I didn't like watch it entirely, but they didn't have great reliability, did they?
No, it's the story for most of the field, to be honest.
Yeah, just kind of the crux of Le Mans.
Yeah. Well, it's an endurance race, so you have to try and get to the end at some point.
But Jev's LMP2 car did well. I don't know what it's called.
Which LMP2 car?
John Burns.
Sure. Yeah, no, that thing won massively. The
He got a mad start.
like Vern did a mad job, absolute mad job in that car.
That car dominated LMP2. Like, it wasn't even touched like the entire.
The sheer dominance of that car was and was incredible. It finished 2 laps ahead of the next one, which is unheard of in LMP2.
Yeah.
LMP2
Like, normally LMP2 is like really close.
within a lap or so of each other, and this thing just decided.
Jeff was like, nope, not this year.
It was incredible driving by Sinead Byrne.
Mm.
And just the entire 2026 squad.
Mm. I don't think that car had any issues either, did it?
No issues at all.
Yeah, just ran perfectly and fast the entire.
That thing just continued and continued and continued and continued.
Yeah, at some point it was when it running like 5th overall at one point.
Yeah.
It was like, wait, if these like LMP1 cars have issues, just like we could have like a rerun. It's unbelievable. But
Yeah.
we know how good of a driver Jeb is, so it is to be expected to pull out a good performance.
He really isn't a bad driver.
Yeah. And of course the other drivers in the car. This is not an Alonso situation again.
Unfortunately, the other G drive couldn't match it at all. Retired a bit early on, like halfway through about.
Mm.
BMW had like a miss. Then BMW retired. Actually, the Pulse sitting, the Dempsey Proton also retired.
Yeah.
Then
I believe there were a few suspension failures, weren't there? I think the 94 Porsche went out with that.
yeah, the Algarve Pro 25 also had to retire due to due to that.
There weren't too many like retirements through massive crashes, though, were there?
Not really.
No, not too many. It was more like reliability or just simple failing.
Bit of a.
It really wasn't. There really wasn't a lot happening really in the end.
I think the only few major crashes were like the number 4, the Bicolis car, and like I think the number 10 quite late on had quite a large incident.
Yeah, that thing as well.
The Dragon Speed car, because I think it wrecked basically three halves of the car.
Yeah.
It wasn't a classic by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Not really, no. Well, it really wasn't. It wasn't the best Le Mans. Let's be honest. Let me be honest here. But
Yeah, there wasn't too much action.
The actual racing, like the mid-pack racing classes, was really good.
Yeah, I mean,
especially, It feels like such an old epoch to say it, but the GTE racing was amazing as always, especially
Yeah.
GTE-Pro.
Like the early stages of the race, like the first 2 hours, you had like I think 8 GTE-Pro cars, basically just within like 3 seconds of each
I
other.
think like 6 hours in,
Yeah, it was like they were just all like on the same pace.
like
Like,
6 hours in, like you had seconds to 12
mm,
was within 20 seconds of each other after six
yeah,
hours. It was amazing.
yeah,
You get that from GTE, don't you?
yeah.
But
To be honest, most of the action in like endurance racing comes from GTE racing.
But
So
the other thing is that not even GT-Pro was safe from dominance, because after the first safety car, the 92 car was just way ahead of everyone
oh
else.
yeah,
Definitely
didn't the
was
92 car get lucky with the safety car?
yeah, really
Because
lucky.
it got lucky through a slow zone and it got about a 20-second gap, and then it caught up to because there's if you don't know, there's 3 safety cars that go around Le Mans because it's such a long track, and he caught up to the back of one, and in the car in second place had to get caught behind the one in the second one, so he lost like over a minute,
Yeah,
and then basically that just gave the 92 Porsche like a 2-minute lead.
yeah, that thing.
Which
Oh, the
he
pink
didn't
pig,
lose at all.
the pink pig, as it also was known as. Actually, just interesting, like Danish fact that Michael Christensen, who brought the car home, became the first Danish driver since Jan Magnussen in 2009 to actually won GT-Pro.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like in general, like it wasn't the world's best race, but it was a race.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
It was still better than Canada, so good.
like
It happened.
and then there were a small race for the number 68 Ford to try and catch a number 91 Porsche for second, but
Yeah.
that thing kind of fell away towards the end as well.
I do find it quite funny actually how Alonso says that F1 is so predictable. Yet the Toyota, his Toyota won by 2 laps ahead of its teammate, which then was
And-
11 laps ahead of third.
Yeah.
The LMP2
To be fair-
winner
To
won
be
by
fair
2
with
laps.
Rebellion, they didn't have exactly a trouble-free race.
No.
They had many issues themselves.
Although by far the R13, the Rebellion R13 is by far the most reliable
Yeah.
chassis out there. So right now.
So I mean, one of them had a rear clank issue
Yeah.
at one point, and then I think both of them had like 1 9-minute pit stop each,
Yeah. Like
which is obviously a very long time even for endurance racing.
I'll say if they had trouble for it, it'll probably like 5-6 laps behind at max.
Yeah.
But there's a.
But it was still absolute dominance by Toyota, which is what we all expected before the weekend.
Actually,
Even though-
I'll say the only race that really was between the Graf and the TS racing cars.
Mm,
The Graf, because there was only 2.5 seconds at the end.
yeah. But even in the end, the LMP2 was dominated by Jev's car, or the car Jev was in, I should say.
Yeah.
Didn't they start 6th?
GT-Pro was dominated by Porsche, or the 92.
Yeah.
And
LP1.
how close was GTE-Am?
Actually, 2 minutes between the winning and
Well, at least it was still on the same lap.
yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't exactly a classic,
No.
let's say. But I think should we do a race rating?
Can just point out one interesting fact.
Yeah, sure.
Alonso becomes becomes the second current F1 driver to have won Le Mans in his first attempt. And the second current F1 driver to have won the race.
And the other one is forgotten because he didn't have a hype train with him.
Well, he's missed the no podium.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mr.
Mr.
Nico Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of. Sorry, Jeeves, should we go say that?
No.
I think that rounds up our kind of review. There wasn't too much to go over.
No, just a bit. It was a fairly boring race. Like
Yeah.
it definitely wasn't the best Le Mans I've seen.
Mm.
Didn't really have those. Didn't have the drama, the action. Not really anything of that, really.
Yeah. I mean, we'll do what we do with like F1. Like we'll give like a race rating because it still kind of counts.
I think the best moment of the entire race was after the second safety car. I think, or the first safety car, where basically like I would say 2/3 of the entire field was stuck behind one safety car. And
Yeah, there's an iconic shot down the Mulsanne straight where like, all you saw was about 1,000.
there was just so many headlines, down off the
An
down to
absolute cluster.
It was incredible as well because you had the two Toyotas who were on the lead lap, like they were like a
Yeah, they were like in the
second
middle of it, just like, oh well, this could end really badly.
and Alonso was like making mad moves.
It's just seeing
Yeah, he was taking a load of risks.
seeing them weave in and out, and just these wide shots of just cars of LMP and GTE cars just bearing down corner to corner for like until basically the pit straight. It was such a sight to see.
Yeah, but just before we round up, I just want to talk about Alonso's night stints.
The madman.
He was unbelievable during the night.
What he did during the night was
Because
incredible.
basically, when he was in the 8 car, he got a 1 minute stop go,
Yeah.
I believe, which basically left they were about 2 minutes behind. Alonso got in the car, I think, around 2.5 minutes behind the number 7.
When he went in, that was 2.5 minutes up. When he went out of the car again, it was 48 seconds.
Yeah, he pulled an absolute madness in that night stint.
I think I heard on Danish TV they interviewed Buemi after the race down in the down before the podium ceremony and such, and Buemi was like that night then was just incredible. It was what brought them back into the fight, really.
He didn't even want to stop. Like he did like a quadruple stint. He literally asked, "Can I do another stint?" Because he was just so in the groove with the car, which you could see by how much he was catching by a lap.
It reminded me of what Lando Norris did in the was it the Daytona fight?
Daytona 24.
Lando was also amazing tonight.
Yeah. Maybe McLaren drivers are just good at night. We should have more night races.
And it was raining then as well, so
yeah.
Showed you even more. And it is interesting now that McLaren are saying they might enter a WEC team, or at least enter Le Mans.
Yeah.
Because Zach Brown just wants to do everything.
I imagine he'll probably do LMP2.
Yeah.
Although I do think Zach Brown may have to go by Oregon and have a few 07s to be bought.
I mean, could he just brand the United Autosport McLaren?
Technically, yes.
He could do that, yeah.
If he wants to.
Because he does own United Autosport car, I believe.
Yeah, he's the owner of the team. That's why he allowed to go for that team. It's why the rest of the drive for the team as well.
I think that kind of does properly now round up our review of the Le Mans. If you could give it a rating out of 10, what would it be?
I would give it a 4. It definitely wasn't in 2016. It wasn't in 2017. It was a good race for the most part if you don't pay attention to LMP1, but else than it wasn't. It definitely wasn't the most dramatic or most action-packed or anything like that. It was a very straightforward race for once.
Yeah. Jeebus.
I'd probably have to say 4 as well. I haven't got a lot of experience really to judge it on anything, but it wasn't a thriller.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It was probably a 4. It wasn't too much actually going on, but there were a few moments, but nothing spectacular.
No.
But that rounds up our episode. Hope you've enjoyed this. A bit of a different episode on the channel because we normally do F1, so I hope you enjoyed the little special we do.
Our little WC agenda, you can call that.
We'll be back for our French Grand Prix review next week. So until then,
we'll be staying.
We
will be staying in France. So.
Yes, exactly. So we don't have to go far. Just down the road. But in the meantime, like and subscribe to the channel to keep up with us, and also follow us on Twitter at the F1 Agenda. to keep updated, and say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.